I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know.
So it's my honor to introduce our keynote speaker this evening, a guy that I've really come to know over the last 4 to 5 years. You know, he's created opportunities, overcome a lot of challenges, and really beaten the odds of life. You know, growing up pretty much in some pretty rough areas of Brooklyn, and really, you know, to where he's come to today, and really a testament of this phenomenal country that we live in. As I mentioned, Danny Vargas, he gets freedom. You know, he served in our military for 7 years in the U.S. Air Force, including 5 years as an operations manager and intelligence analyst in the Republic of Panama, where he also supervised airborne reconnaissance missions, routinely reporting on matters of national security to key decision makers and national authorities, including the White House. He's the former national chairman of the RNHA, representing all like 30 or 40 chapters across this great nation. He's a frequent speaker on Hannity, CNN en Español, and MSNBC. From a free enterprise perspective, he's a founder and CEO of Varcom, which is a marketing and PR firm, former chairman of the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce, and the Dulles Regional Chamber of Commerce is one of the strongest chamber of commerce in the nation, and a former executive at AOL and France Telecom. Danny also gets family and faith, married, 2 young sons, fluent in Spanish, active in politics at the local, national, state levels, and international levels. And recently, he was appointed by Representative Boehner, Congressman Boehner, to the National Museum of the American Latino Commission, which is really working and doing some great work there, phenomenal, during the Bush administration. So let's give a warm Detroit, Michigan welcome to a great friend, a great patriot, Danny Vargas.
Good evening, Detroit. Buenas noches, bienvenidos, and welcome. Thank you very much. And I want to say thank you to David. David's been a phenomenal leader, and I'm just glad that my mother was able to help me out with that introduction. Thanks very much, David. Listen, as a veteran, are there any other veterans here in the crowd? Thank you for your service. I want to say Happy Memorial Day. This is the time where every year we have an opportunity to thank all those men and women who have sacrificed, who have kept our nation free, who have dedicated their lives to be able to protect democracy throughout the world. So I want to take a moment to say Happy Memorial Day to all of you, and to all the veterans who are out there who are watching us on Ustream. Thank you, Wayne, for doing that. I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about something. So, David mentioned that I was the chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. That gave me a great opportunity to do a great many things. It gave me an opportunity to manage the organizational responsibilities of the RNHA. So I had to build new chapters, make sure they were running right. The administrative responsibilities of making sure that organization functioned. But it gave me a great opportunity to evangelize. And that was part of my mission, part of my charter. It was part of my job to be able to go out there, not only in the media, but also to groups like this all over the country, to be able to talk about the principles and the philosophies and the values that we share as Hispanics, as Republicans, as conservatives, to be able to talk to those folks about how important it is to be able to keep this nation strong, keep this nation free, keep this nation the beacon of light throughout the entire world. And that was my pleasure to be able to do that. I remember there was one instance, for example, we were in Nevada, and we were speaking to a group of people, and there was a little girl, maybe about her age. And I looked at that little girl, and it occurred to me. I was in the middle of my remarks, and I stopped. And I looked at her, and I said, "Can you come here for a second?" And she came over, and I said, "You know what? This is what it's all about. It's about this little girl and all the children out there in the country. It's about all the folks that are working hard, that are striving to make sure that they can provide their children, their grandchildren, with a better future, with a country that they can feel safe in, with a country that they can feel free in, so that they can create opportunities for the next generation and the next generation. The fear that we all have right now, I think, is that that future is in peril. For the first time in our nation's history, there are folks that are concerned about the fact that they won't be able to provide their children with a better lifestyle than they have. And that's not the America that I want to see. So David talked a little bit about philosophy. David talked about family and faith and freedom and opportunity. These are values and principles that we all share, not only as Hispanics, but as Republicans and conservatives. You know, family, we will kill or die for our families. That's a given. That's a truism. Faith, we're, as Hispanics, and where we are very much people of faith. We believe that faith is the first freedom that's enshrined in our Constitution. And freedom itself. We've been fighting in our nation's battles from the Revolutionary War to the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan, and we will be there to fight every battle for this nation going forward. And then opportunity. You better believe that everyone that's out there working hard, working 2, 3 jobs to be able to provide a better life for their children, you better believe that they understand and they have firm commitment in the notion that this country does provide opportunity for all, irrespective of your socioeconomic upbringing or your race or your religion. This is that shining city on a hill. I've had the great honor and privilege of being able to travel to different parts of the world, and I can tell you, if you're born in the shanty towns outside of Caracas or the favelas outside of Brazil, if that's where you're born, typically that's where you stay, not here. Here you can overcome those circumstances, and I'm a perfect example of that. You know, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I grew up with a Kentucky Fried Chicken spork in my mouth. You know? So this is that great land of opportunity, and we need to make sure that we keep it that way. So that's sort of the philosophy level, if you will. But I think we can't stop there. We can't just stop at philosophy. We can't just stop at principles and values. We really, as Republicans, we need to get down and start talking about policy. We need to make sure that we're talking to voters about the things that matter in their daily lives. We need to make sure we're talking to them about things that are kitchen table issues, because there are lots of families struggling out there. There are lots of families out there struggling to make sure that they can pay their mortgage, they can keep food on the table, send their kids to school. We need to talk about those issues that we know as Republicans that our conservative approaches to policy are the best approach. So we got to talk philosophy, yes, but we got to talk policy, right? We got to get back to the days where the Republican Party was the party of pragmatic, practical, responsible, effective stewards of our nation's economy, of our nation's security, and our nation's liberties. That's where the Republican Party stood as strong as it ever has. We need to get back to those days. So philosophy, policy, politics is the next one. Politics. We need to make sure that we understand, as Republicans, I argue, with all the Republican candidates that I talked to, I think we need to get back to basics. There was a time where the Republican Party was seen as the party of the IRS. Not the bad IRS, the good IRS. Ideas, reforms, and solutions. Right? We were the party when the wide-eyed liberals were off there trying their social experiments. When the stuff hit the fan, you could always go back to Republicans. Right? There was the Republicans that would step in, take on the big situations, take on the big issues, come up with solutions and fix them. Right? That's what we were known for. We need to get back to those days. We need to get back to the basic principles of Republicanism. Right? Limited government, strong national defense, strong economy, lower taxes. Those are the things that we should be standing for. Individual liberties and personal responsibility, those are the things that built a great nation, the greatest nation that God has ever allowed man to create. That's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to those basic core principles of republicanism. And I think if we do that, we can win over and over again. We've seen it. We saw it in Massachusetts, we saw it in New Jersey, and we saw it in my home state of Virginia.